Kontakt 8 is here, and in this video I'm going to walk you through some of the new features, tell you what I think about them, because there's some really interesting new tools and a couple new instruments in there. And these are things that might convince you that you need to pick this up now, or maybe get the full Komplete update, which is also coming out today. So Komplete 15 is out today. I'll have links in the description, and these are affiliate links, so they help me out if you pick up from those links. But I don't want you buying stuff that you don't need. So that's what this video is all about. Let's look at these features of Kontakt and see if they are something that is going to help your workflow. Let me know what you think about everything in the comments, and also let me know what you want to see in future videos. So let's start with just the look of Kontakt and see if anything has changed there. Let me just open a blank Kontakt 8 here. There was a couple things I wanted to check right away. What does resizing look like for Kontakt 8? Because up till now, if you resize stuff, usually it just kind of blows it up and we get that kind of pixely view. If we look at this new Alicia's keys, that looks really good. So from what I can tell here, we've got some kind of vector type graphics that are scaling up with the zoom in. So this is awesome. Definitely something I've been waiting for a while. Just the look of Kontakt looked kind of gross up till now. Here's another thing that's interesting. Over on the left-hand side of Kontakt now, you've got a browser. So it's a small browser. Let's try loading up an old one. Let's go to, say, Ashlight. If I go to Banks, interesting. Atmosphere, keys. So they're kind of giving us like a mini version of the browser over on the left-hand side. But if we look at Ashlight, we can see that it is kind of pixely and not scaling up nicely like Alicia's keys is. So maybe this is something that's specific to only the new instruments, and hopefully we see that come to all of the instruments here in Kontakt, because, I mean, it's fine, really, but if you look at Distorted Landscape, the text here is just so small, and it's been blown up, and it's just kind of chunky. Conflux is another new instrument. Try a patch in this one. And this one looks beautiful as well. So we might as well start with Conflux and have a look at it. Okay, so I just did a quick check, and Conflux is in all 3 versions of Komplete. And if we go to Kitara, which is the new instrument, that one looks like it only comes with the Komplete 15 Collector's Edition. So just be aware of that. So let's go have a look at Conflux now. And then these tools that I'm going to show you in a little bit, they come with all versions of Kontakt. And actually they come with the free version of Kontakt as well. So Conflux, what is Conflux? I guess it's a new synthesizer that's running inside Kontakt. And Kontakt has been a sampler primarily, but they do have wavetables. And I know that Conflux has wavetables as part of its synthesis engine. And then they've also added FM synthesis. So whether or not Kontakt's just going to become a full-fledged synthesizer, I don't know. Maybe that's something that comes down the road. But let's listen to a couple patches here in Conflux. And let's go to a bank. Let's just try synth pad. Okay, let's try this Sus-String Gills one. One thing that's kind of driving me crazy right now, I don't know if this is new, but I keep hearing the presets after I load something, and some of them are really long, you'll find with these new Leap presets. So if anyone knows how to kill the preview once you've loaded a patch, that would be great. Okay, and then if we click the edit button, now we can see some settings for the synthesizer. I gotta say, I love the look of it. It's looking a little bit Ableton in a way, just really flat. Click this sample button here, then we can change this from a shakuhachi flute to a cello. So I'm not sure what these buttons mean, but now we're switching to a piano source, and we can see some different piano things to choose from. Sources, we've got wavetable on the left here, sample on the right. So it's not the usual type of browser in this one. And then we've got basic settings over on the right-hand side. So there isn't a ton of patches here. Like if we get out of this and we go to all banks, we've got 200 presets for this Conflux. It's not showing me exactly what this synth can do. I'm going to reserve judgment on this one and wait and see what happens when we find out what makes this special. So now let's look at Kitara. Kitara is made by Audio Imperia, and they are a great company. Oh, that sounds kind of neat, actually. Let's double click on that one. it looks like it's got 4 layers, and some patches have more than 1 layer turned on. And if we turn them off, we can hear the different layers. So it looks like the sustain is just kind of like a pad layer maybe in the background, and something called fragments, and then some effects. So this one looks more complex than just a play instrument. Oh, that sounds nice. So it's not just these kind of dulcimer, guitar-y type sounds, but pads and stuff like that as well. Now let's look at Leap. So this is a new feature that's just coming to Kontakt 8. And with this one, it's basically a loop player or a sample player. So here's just a loop that's loaded in, and you can see we have 16 different spots for loops to load in. And then we have different things above that we can do to these loops. Some of them are a little more obvious, like move the beat twice as fast forward. Now that slows it down. Then we got another slowdown, but it sounds more like a tape stop style. This is some kind of repeat. This is gate, and this goes up the octave, but keeps the speed the same, which is really nice. Down the octave. And that sounds like some kind of granular thing. You can click on Perform Effects, and then you can see what each of them are up top here. So if I click on this little drop-down arrow, you can see that this one is Transpose Stretch, this one's Beat Masher, this one's Gator, and then we have some controls as well, like maybe the amount of grains. So you can hear that these perform effects are really something that you're supposed to be doing in real time. So if you were to play them into a project, I've got a bunch of those little changes, those little perform effects in there. And then what I would do is probably quantize them so that they happen exactly on the beat. And then I'd also quantize the lengths of the notes so that they cut out at the right time. This is stuff that we wouldn't be able to do live, but when you've got the luxury of editing the MIDI afterwards, this is kind of what makes this stuff even more powerful. So we've got 4-bar beat here. Do I see myself using this as opposed to using stuff in Machine? Probably not. This is definitely something that is going to open up new opportunities in Kontakt, which is very cool. So let's add another Kontakt track and just see what these Leap presets sound like. So if I just start right from Leap right here, I can see that it comes with a bunch of stuff as well. So a bunch of different genres. Let's go to 80s New Wave and see what that's all about. Okay, let's try this Placid kick out. Okay, so there's a kick, there's a snare, and if I hit edit mode here, we can see the loop. We can see how we can change the loop up. We can make the loop a little shorter. So if we didn't want that hi-hat thing in there at all, I guess we could bring this way back over here and cut it off right there. Now our loop's just gonna be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one looks like it's set to latch, which means it's just gonna keep playing until I hit it again. That's kind of cool. So you can choose how it's being triggered, or you can hit hold and it'll just probably go when you hold it down, and that's it. Okay, I like that too. Actually, I like that better. And then let's see what else we got. Okay, that's cool. Now I know I want to do this thing in D major, and it looks like it's in C major right now. So let's change this to D. So you can see that it's keeping the tempo, the same, but raising the pitch, which is exactly what we want. So that was something I was concerned about first, and something that we have to deal with in Machine. But let's just put that in there. Okay, so let's go to our send effects and maybe turn this up. There we go. That's weird. So, okay, so now I've got control over the reverb. So it looks like you have to turn them on. That seems strange to me. Anyways, I'll turn up the delay. Let's turn it down now. And then I have one more thing, the little shaker. That's got a lot of reverb on it. Let's tone that sucker back. So it looks like we could have, tons of reverb on the shaker and only a little bit on the guitar. That's the way a send effect works, which is great. But let's tone that back. And then let's maybe pan that to the left. And let's go to the guitar and we'll pan that to the right. All right. So all this stuff's making perfect sense, but of course we can trigger loops, but then we can do all sorts of rhythmic stuff to them as well. You can load your own samples and own loops onto each one of these little spots. So I guess in some ways, what I could see myself doing with this is finding some loop and then maybe dragging that same loop onto a whole bunch of different slots and then having the ability to do different things to each one of those slots. That's where things like this could just start to get bigger and bigger. Do you see what I'm saying there? I don't know. Let me know what you think about this so far. I can see a real good use case for this, but I'm just gonna have to play with it a whole lot more. So now we've got the chords things to talk about. And in this one, I've got a little chords phrase pulled up already that sounds really nice. And we'll just play something in with it. And so the chords thing, I'm sort of on the fence about. And I gotta say, I don't know how to get it to show up on Complete Control when I've got something else. So right now I've got a patch pulled up. Yeah, so it's not communicating properly with the keyboard. And it could be my keyboard, it could be just, that I'm doing something wrong. I'm not sure. But right now, I'm not getting the screen showing me what's on Conflex, or I'm not getting the screen showing me what's on the chords tool. So this was just a preset called Pop Flowers, and that's in the chords tool menu. And all you have to do is go to these tools and drag it on top of a patch that you've already got, and you'll be able to start using chords with that patch. So if I go to my guitar here, I could just go right over to the tools, go to chords, and then go to Pop Flowers. There we go. I'll just drag Pop Flowers onto this guy. Now I've got the same chords that I've got on this one. And if I go back to Guitar for a second, maybe I find a different patch that works a little bit better. All I have to do now is click on this Guitar thing up in the instruments. This is kind of new up top too, isn't it? We can solo and mute different instruments and use maybe multiple instruments up top. And then we can also do things with this chords tool like strum the chords. You can record your own chords into it. Right now I'm using these first 4. And I'm probably not going to use that one. So let's record something new on that one. Let's record a new chord. It's in the key of D major. Let's record an E minor in there. This chord should be my E minor chord. And I noticed that I got to redo the strum if I want to hear my new chord. There we go. Not sure if that's a bug, but anyways. So now I've got some new chords in there, and you've only really got 7 chords per chords tool instrument. And you can save presets, of course, and you can probably share them. And then they've got a whole bunch to choose from, like over 100 presets here. So that is very cool, but programs like Cubase already have these things called chord pads built in, and the chord pads are extremely powerful. You can change inversions really quickly. You can do all sorts of complex stuff to chords and make your own chord presets in Cubase. And I know a lot of other programs have stuff like that as well. So is it a game changer, the chords thing? I don't think so, but it's still a really nice addition. And again, it's not that it's not blowing my mind or has a limitation with the 7 chords. It's the fact that they've got it in there, and then now that becomes part of the ecosystem, and people can start doing more complex and fun things with the chords tool that you wouldn't be able to do with the way Kontakt was before. So the way I'm thinking about it is it's like we often use samples that are maybe a chord progression or something like that. Now you're able to use chord progressions baked into this instrument, and then you can go change those chords. So in some ways, it can give you more customizability with loops and chords and samples. And I think that's where this is going to go in an interesting direction. So it's just the start of what they're going to be able to do with this kind of technology, I guess, in Kontakt. So I've got some chords already on this one. And let's just drag that one right onto my guitar track and see if this works. And the last thing to look at is the other tool called phrases, which is instead of chords, it's actually just some kind of MIDI information that's running in a loop. And you can kind of pick up where you are in that phrase. So let's try some combined patches that are going to potentially have some of these new tools in it. So let's go Show Tool Enhanced Only. Let's try in the Kontakt Factory library. They've got some new patches here. Okay, that's interesting. Let's double click on that one. You know, the tempo's changed now to fit my project. Let's change it to D major, because that's what we're in for a song, and see what happens to these phrases. Anyways, you get these phrases. You can start the phrases in different spots. You can randomize the phrases. Is this something I'm going to use? Probably not. But again, maybe there's some way to have some, jazzy piano licks that are loaded in as phrases, and then you're triggering those. You get to choose the key you're in, and that's just going to your virtual instrument. So if you're not a keyboardist, this could be really useful for sure. So let's just try playing along a little bit with this one. Not a keyboardist, those phrases might come in real handy for sure. Kontakt 8, a bunch of new tools and features built into it. And other than that, Komplete 15's out. So I've got a video on Komplete 15. Let me know what you think about these new features in Kontakt. And be nice, for Pete's sake. I mean, I'm not making this stuff. I'm just showing it off, And if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and thanks for Bo Tyler. You know what you did. Everybody go check out Bo Tyler's video. I'll put a link in the description.